Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Ganganapade Namaha. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvada Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Radha Krishnaya Namo Namaha. Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deva Maheshwara Guru Deva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sarva Mangala Mangalle Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharanya Trambake Devi Narayani Namostute. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Mahalakshmi Rupena Samstita. Namastasya 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 Namo Namaha. Om Shri Sadgurubhyo Namaha. Om Shri Hanumate Namaha. Om Namo Narayanaya. Shri Radha Krishnaya Namo Namaha. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 1st of September 2025. I want to offer my prostrations to all the great sages and to Bhagavan, residing in the heart of every single being. We are continuing to examine, through the grace of Bhagavan Sri Krishna Paramatma and Shri Radhika Ji, Shri Radharani, and all the great sages and all the great incarnations who have come in this world, about the Prema Bhakti, Prem Lakshana Bhakti. It is pure love, absolute Ananda. And to reach that stage, to reach that development from inside our system, inside our psychological, psychosomatic, spiritual system, it is a possibility, great possibility. So to continue from yesterday, if you remember that we've been looking at this word Ojas, Tejas and Bhakti, and then within those three is Shakti, right? So this should be very clear by now. And at the same time, it is a matter of moment to moment awareness. You know, it is called Janapanu in Gujarati language. It is called awareness or choiceless awareness, meaning pure awareness of what is happening in the experiences of our life. You know, so the experiences of our life are of so many different kinds, and is it possible to synchronize them into the interconnectedness of devotion, of bhakti, of prema, of jnana, of the spiritual realization, of the higher realization? Is it possible to do so? Yes, it is. It is definitely possible, but it happens gradually because our conditioning is so heavy inside our system from millions of lifetimes and from this lifetime. So it takes its time for it to unlock from within. It is a matter of being able to resonate clearly, beautifully with the higher consciousness, with the higher ideals, higher kind of experience, the higher taste as it is known. So in today's exposition, we want to go a bit further in this to try to understand that the type of life that we choose, the type of decisions we make, are they aligning in that direction towards more and more enlightenment, opening Jivan Mukti? Is it opening into a much more energetic expansion? And that's a real question. As I mentioned several times already, we talked about it. There's either the possibility of vertical ascent, going upwards towards Paramatma, or going downward. At any given point in life, either we're going up or we're going down, or we're going up and down, up and down, up and down. That's all. You know. So, is it possible to set a direction in such a way that the upward movement continues without any break? Yes, definitely. It is definitely possible. It begins by realizing what is the power of the flute of Sri Krishna, Bansuri. The flute doesn't have any will of its own. It plays the song that the flute player is playing. It is an instrument that is playing the song of the divine, of Sri Krishna. And the flute is considered to be the highest stage of devotion. That is Radhika Ji also. You see, so that Basri in one sense, it is a symbol. It is a symbolic representation of Aham Shunya Bhav. That the bhavna that is inside our mind, that the bhavna that is inside our hearts, that the bhavna that is inside our mental framework, emotional framework, it is infused by the will of Bhagavan, God's will. Not my individualized, mixed up, crazy stuff that is just going on, vasanas and rag, dvesh and aham. Not that. So, when we are the flute of Sri Krishna, that is enlightenment. That is para bhakti, param bhakti, prema lakshana bhakti. That is where our life is absolutely 100% controlled by God, because the devotee is completely surrendered at the feet of God. That's a very big thing. That's a huge realization. That total surrender, that total harmony. Is it possible? I mean, how does that happen? See, our ahankar is such that it doesn't allow us to do that. You see, but this is the whole point, because we want to reach that stage as described in the verse number 4 of chapter 15. I'm going to show it to you. Very interesting. Because this is our goal. We want to reach exactly what Bhagavan Krishna is saying here. You'll be hearing a lot about chapter 15 as we move ahead, because I'm focusing on that now for the time being at least. You'll see this beautiful verse here. Tata padam, see, tat parimargitavyam. See, very beautiful. Tata padam, tat parimargitavyam. Hold on, I think I put the wrong. This is correct, but there's another. Sorry, I wanted to show you. There's a different version of this. Yes, here it is. Give me just a moment, please. It's good to actually listen to the original Sanskrit, language itself. Absolutely beautiful. So, okay, now let's take a look at this slideshow. Let's go to the. What happened here? Okay, hold on a second here. There we go, slideshow. Why is that? There we go. Okay, so this is actually the 4th verse in chapter 15. So we're going to look at this today in connection to this concept of the flute. The basari of Bhagavan Krishna and of course Radhika ji, and where we are in our lives, right? So here's the verse. The verse is as follows. I'm going to do the padchhed. So it's at the bottom here. That is each word of the verse is broken down, and then we will go through it. So tata padam tat parimargitavyam yasmin gataha na nivartanti bhuyah tam eva cha adyam purusham prapadde yataha pravrittihi prasrutta purani. This is the verse, right? The translation is on the right. Then that state, abode, that padam, that dham, that is the Bhagavad Dham, God's abode, is to be thoroughly sought, having reached which the devotees, bhaktas, do not return again into the material world. To that very primal person, Parama Purusha, Adyam Purusham, Tameva Chadyam, Tam Eva Cha Adyam. See, Tameva Chadyam Purusham Prapadde means Tam Eva Cha Adyam Purusham. To that primal meaning eternally existing Param Tattva, Param Paramatma, existing always, I surrender. That the word surrender here is an English translation. So Purusham Prapadde. Prapadde means I'm offering completely myself at the feet of God, to Bhagavan. And when that absolute surrender happens, that is where the abode of God is realized. Tat padam, tat parimargitavyam, parimargitavyam. Parimargi means what? That it means that it is path. It is to be sought. Yasmin. Gata na nivartanti bhuyah, not to come back into the sansara, into the material conditioned state again. Through rebirth upon rebirth upon rebirth, taking different bodies upon bodies upon. This is called Brahma Vidya. So Tat Padam, see this word, that divine abode, as in terms of Bhagavan Krishna and Radhika ji, that is Golok Dham. Tat Padam, Tat Parimargitavyam. So when we are setting the destination, we've said this before, set the destination, that is the goal. What is the goal? The abode of God. Bhagavan ke charan, Bhagavan ka swarup, that is the goal. Now, Parimargitavyam means several things. This is just a very rough English translation here, but it has a lot of internal meaning, obviously. Marg means path, and Parimargitavyam, it means that to seek and to walk that path thoroughly, completely, Parimarg, like 100% on that path, not 99%, not 80%, not 50%. So why the word pari is used for that reason. Parimargitavyam, thorough following that path. Thorough, because you cannot reach that highest destination unless there's 100% energy placed in that, towards that. It's not possible. Like the rocket ship, like the space shuttle can only take off when all of its energy is focused to go into the orbit or outside the orbit. That's the only way the rocket can flow. One energy cannot be going to the left and to the right. And you've seen these booster rockets, right? Booster rocket and the fuel tank on the space shuttle. They're all pointed up in the same direction. You cannot have one booster rocket 30 degrees slanted this way, another slanted. This is our situation in life, our meaning human being. Even though we say we want to realize God, we have so many slants and so many, our Shaktis are not aligned properly. This is the thing about Ojas, Tejas and Shakti is not aligned properly. So that alignment is what Bhagavan Krishna Paramatma is showing here, that Tat Padam Parimargitavyam. So Parimargitavyam, once we are on that aligned path, we have first align completely. Don't waste energies, don't damage energies. We've already talked a lot about that, Ojas, Tejas, etc. Bring it together. That is the alignment. That is storing all the Shakti, just like the space shuttle analogy, with the massive fuel tank and booster rockets. What are the two booster rockets? That is Gnan and Vairagya. What is that fuel tank? That is your internal Shakti. And what is the destination? That is the abode of God. See the analogy. Who is the astronaut? That is the Jivatma. To go and to reach the Paramatma. Just like that. You have to have protection suit also. You see, so the protection is dharma. The astronauts wear they cannot sit in the space shuttle wearing a t-shirt and shorts. No. They have to put this, because they're going to be in a space where there's no oxygen over there. So they have to be protected so they can breathe. Similarly, dharma is that protection suit. The two booster rockets are Gnan and Vairagya. They're going to boost us all the way up. And that fuel tank, that is the maximum amount of fuel inside there. What is that? That is Shakti, the absolute pure raw energy. Right? So the Ojas and Tejas and every Shakti and everything is right there. So where is Bhakti in this? Bhakti is the intention to go into orbit. This is the point. Tat padam. Tatah padam tat parimargitavyam. Just like the astronauts who want to go into the moon or to Saturn or to some other planet, eventually we'll be able to reach all those planets. It'll happen sooner or later. But that's just in the material world. It's an analogy. But when the bhakta sets a destination towards Paramatma, this analogy of the space shuttle is a very good one. Bhakti is the intention to say, yes, let's go in that direction. Everything is set. Now the space shuttle takes off. It takes off straight up. You see? So that straight up takeoff, this is called Tat Padam Tat Parimargitavyam. You see? So that state is to be sought thoroughly. That it is a seeking, it is a study, it is a contemplation, it is devotion, it is 100% surrender. It is a surrender. See, so Tat Padam Parimargitavyam Yasmin Gata Na Nivartanti Bhuya. So once that is reached, then there's no coming back into the sansar again. This is the point. Then Tameva Chadyam Purusham Prapadde. that you, O Supreme Paramatma, any Swarup you want, Bhagwan Krishna, Bhagwan Ram, Bhagwan Shankar, people who believe in Jesus, no problem, Aapki Ichha. God is only one. God is not two. Whoever said Bhagwan is two? There is only one tattva. Ekam sat vipraha bahuda vadanti. So keep this in mind. That primal Purusha is from Tameva Chadyam Purusham Prapadde. Adbhut baat hai. So Tameva, Eva means only you. Tam eva cha adyam. Adyam means you are the primal, the beginning, the source of everything, with a capital S. That is called Adyam. Adyam means beginning. You can see the word right there, in fact. So Tameva, Tam eva. Cha in Sanskrit means and. You are the one and the only one. That Supreme Purusha. Purusha here, it really doesn't mean male or female in that sense, like in our sense. It means that Paramatma, that Param Chaitanya Tattva, Satchidananda Vigraha. Purusham, Prapadde. Prapadde, this is the key word here. That is the flute. That word Prapadde means the flute. Flute meaning, it's an analogy that we become that, we enter into that state where our mind, senses, body, everything is just flowing with divyata, with divine will. It is not flowing anymore with vasanas, ahankar, rag, dvesh, klesh. All that has to go. And that has to go. And that letting that go completely, just as the astronaut that is sitting in the space shuttle has to let go of the gravity of the earth. The gravity of the earth, if somebody says, no, I don't want to, I want to go into space, but I want to also stay on the ground. How that is possible? You cannot go into the outer space by saying, I'm so attached to the to the earth itself. I'm not going to do anything. I may study everything and sit in the space shuttle. I want to go into space. I'm going to try to go into, but I'm not going to do anything to leave the planet Earth. It's not possible. It's not possible. Similarly, we cannot reach that sthiti, that Brahmi sthiti, that extraordinary development into that Bhagavad Dham, as long as one is holding on to all of the damaging and harmful kinds of activities. That is called adharma. Holding on to vasanas, that is a deep-seated asad vasana, holding on to all of the damaging kinds of vritti. No. If that is there, there's no chance of this realization. In fact, there's no way to even set this destination. So, is it possible to eliminate all of that unnecessary material from within? Yes, by setting this destination. So when we set this destination, as we continue on this path, then the surrender is there. So the flute, what is this flute? The flute plays music, but the flute cannot play itself. When we, through the grace of Radhika Ji, when we become the flute, meaning that we are no longer having our own individualized egocentric will, the will of Bhagavan is sitting inside our mind. That is called Guru Krupa. And then that is flowing moment to moment, hour to hour. Our thoughts, our manovritti, we're living our ordinary life, but it is a divine vision, divine hearing. It has become divya. Yes, and that is where the activity is connected to Paramatma. The 9 forms of devotion, the study of the scriptures, the meeting with the bhaktas and devotees and things like that. This continues further and further, and it just goes on like this. It just goes on so that there is a greater and greater realization of the Parama Purusha. Tam eva cha adyam purusham prapadde. Prapadde means I surrender to you. I want you. You are the whole and soul. We want so many things in life. endless number of desires are just rolling. It's fine. Obviously we need to live in the material world without any problems. That's why we do the Veda mantra, Shri Suktam and all that. We do that. And that has to be done. That's, but those are doorways. The Veda mantras are doorways into the Moolam. Urdhva Moolam Adashakam Ashvattam Prahuravyayam. See, that's the first verse. Let's go back to the first verse here. Hold on 1 second here. See this? Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Urdhva Moolam Adashakam Ashvattam Prahuravyayam Chandansi Yasya Paranani Yastam Vedasa Vedavit. Right? So, what is it? What is the goal? That imperishable tree that is described, the root, that is the Paramatma. The Vedic hymns are the doorway into that Param Tattva, into the Vedanta itself. And that's what this first verse is saying. You see, so it is very beautiful because we don't want to be stuck inside the madness of the sansar. So that's what the second verse is talking about here. And then the third verse says, you cannot even understand how vast and unending the entanglements are of the sansar itself. You see, so that's why from the inside, cut out what doesn't belong. Cut out this attachment towards this constant repetitive existence. Asanga shastrena dridena chitva. You can see that in this verse number 3 here also. So asanga, at the bottom here you can see asanga shastrena dridena chitva. Na rupam asya iha tatha upalabhyate na antah na cha adihi na cha sampratishta ashvatha ena su virudha moolam asanga shastrena dhrudena chitva. That's the breakdown of the words. And so that this is an analogy, because inside our mind, inside our psychological system, there's an incredible number of just phenomenal numbers of unending attachments upon attachments upon attachments, experiences upon experiences upon experiences. So Bhagavan Krishna says, leave it alone. It doesn't mean you're breaking relationships with people. Don't misunderstand. The relationships become great. It just means there is a destination for Paramatma. Everything else is seen in a completely new light, in the light of Brahma Vidya, in the light of higher consciousness. And when we start to see that way, this destination is set, because the body is temporary, relationships are temporary, everything is temporary in life. You see, so tat padam, tatah padam, tat parimargitavyam, yasmin gata na nivartanti bhuyah, tameva chadyam purusham prapadde, yata pravrittihi prasruta purani. From ancient times, this has been going on. This process has been going on. That is verse number 4. And then, of course, verse number 5, we'll look at another time in more detail. But these qualities, without these qualities, nirmana moha, jita sanga dosha, adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama, without these qualities, it's not possible to reach the abode of God. We'll be stuck inside the material condition again and again and again and again and again and again, endlessly. See, that's why Bhagavan Krishna says the undiluted go to the imperishable state. Gachanti mudha. See, look at the breakdown there. Gachanti amudhaha. It's good to really do the padached. Padached means to break down the pada word by word by word. See, nirman mohaha jita sangadoshaha adhyatma nityaha vinivritta kamaha dvandvaihi vimuktaha sukha dukkha sangnaihi gachanti amudhaha padam avyayam tat. This is verse number 5. How beautiful. See, avyaya, imperishable. Everything here is perishable. That is Akshara Brahma, that is Akshara Dham, that is Golok Dham. That avyayam means Akshara Dham. That avyayam means Param Dham. That avyayam means beyond Prakriti, beyond the material Prakriti. You see, so to reach that stage, we have to go beyond the pairs of opposites, dvanda, the dualities that are just afflicting. And this is where we become the flute. The flute is what? The flute is where the song of Bhagavan, Bhakti, Akhanda Bhakti, Bhajan, Kirtan, Manan, Chintan, it flows. And Bhagavan Swayam lives in the full manifest form in the devotee, in the great saints. Isko kehte hai Bhagwan, in Gujarati we say Bhagwan na Akhanda Dharak Sant. So that is the flute. That flute of Sri Krishna doesn't have its own will. It is 7, holes that are there. There are 7 holes. Which also represents the 7 swaras, of course. 7 chakras are there. And then the flute player, that is the Supreme Paramatma. His will is being done. His song is being played. That's amazing. And this concept is there in all the religions of the world. So when we are in resonance with Shri Radhika Ji, with Bhagwan Krishna, in resonance by devotion, by Manan Chintan, our mind is active step by step in that contemplative state. Then that Paramatma begins to live inside of us as Nada Brahma. It is called Brahma Srishti. There's something called Bunda Srishti and Nada Srishti. Bunda Srishti means from the sperm and the egg, this body is born. This is called Bunda Srishti. And there's something called Nada Srishti. Nada Srishti means the development of the divine being, the opening of that divinity from inside by akhanda satsang, continuous satsanga in the scriptures, higher contemplation, by going through that again and again and again and again. There is the Nada Srishti. You see, so that Nada Srishti is what we're after, and that's what we want, because the body will go. Body is just a biochemical mechanism, amazing. It is a yantra. It is by the grace of Paramatma. It is given to the Jivatma out of grace to give experience, but it is a temporary phenomena. There's another body, the Divya Vigraha, Satchidananda Vigraha, Chinmay Vigraha, jisko Mukton ka sharir hai. That is what we are aiming towards. We want to develop that, but that is developed through pure bhakti, akhanda manan chintan, scriptural reading, sat shastron ka pathan hona chahiye. Not to waste time in other things. Time doesn't come back in life. A day goes by, like today is what the 1st of September 2025. By the time this day ends, you think it's going to come back? And it doesn't come back. Health comes and goes. Wealth comes and goes. Relationships come and go. People come and go. Time doesn't come and go. Time goes. Once it's gone, is gone. Each hour is gone, is gone. It isn't not going to come back again. What's going to come back? And what are we going to take with us? Nothing. Nothing from this sansar belongs to us. Not one electron belongs to us. Not one proton belongs to us. Not one neutron belongs to us. Not one atom belongs to us. Not one object belongs to us. Not one person belongs to us. This body also is not, it doesn't belong to us. It is a gift. It is a special krupa by grace. As Shankaracharya ji said, Durlabham trayame vetad deva anugraha hetukam. By Deva, meaning Paramatma ka anugraha, by Krupa, this Jivatma is given the human body for further expansion and development ahead. Nothing is ours. Human beings, mera hai, mera hai. Kuch nahi hamara. Nothing is ours. We don't take anything with us. Nobody comes with us. We don't take anything with us. This is Vairagya. That's the 2 booster rockets. What is the Jnana? Real drashti. What is the Atman is real. मेरा स्वरूप दिव्य है, आत्मा है, ब्रह्म आत्मा अछेद अभेद अविनाशी. That realization through a lot of Vedantic reflection, and then that which is not the Atma, that is just part of the material process, that is called Atma Anatma Vivek. Atma Anatma or Nitya. And what is Nitya Anitya? Nitya Anitya Vastu Vivek. What is anitya? Everything is anitya that we see in the world. It is here one day, gone the next. Who is here permanently? And people are running foolishly as if this is all permanent. And as a result of that, they are causing damage to each other, thinking that they're going to be here, grabbing land and grabbing God knows what, and by doing that, causing so much damage. No, it is impermanent. But even though it is impermanent, there is a duty to live in the world with dharma. So that is also missing in lots of places in the world. Right? So when we realize all of this, we can only evolve ourselves. We have to improve ourselves, do our duty where we can do it. And make our lives absolutely fantastic. Stop wasting time. Time doesn't ever come back. It never comes back. And that is something for meditating on. इस पर ध्यान करना. आज की साधना ये है. How am I using my time? But people say use money wisely. They should also say use time wisely. And I don't mean to say that, every second of every day you're just only thinking of God. The wo ek sthiti hai, that will happen. In some way that connection will happen. There's all activity to be done. But how is time being used? Is it being used for upward development, urdhva moolam, into the higher consciousness, or is it just being wasted? Same cycle, same repetition, cycles. Aisa chalta hai. It's not easy. It takes time. It takes time for the system to really kick into gear. Do you think that space shuttle analogy I gave, do you think that space shuttle just was built like that? It took so many years and years and years of planning and research and technology before even that whole apparatus can be built. We have to be prepared to open the dimension into prema bhakti. This is not going to happen just like that. There's a lot of prep work to be done. And the scriptures are showing how to do the preparation. Lots of scriptures are there. But once we start, we say, no, I want to reach the that tatah padam tat parimargitavyam. I want to reach that param dham. But Atma needs to reach mukti. Atma wants ananda. Atma doesn't want to be stuck inside this madness of this reincarnation cycle. No more. Adi Shankaracharya ji, 36 verses are there. We have to look at them. I've been promising that. I just haven't gotten to it yet. We'll look at them. Bhajagovindam, 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 Mudamade. Bhajagovindam Stotra has 36 verses. Each one of them is Amrut. It is and what is the purpose? What is the essence? This point. Get out of the birth and life cycle. Worship Govinda. Keep your attention on that Paramatma. Everything here is it's needed. We have to go through it as a karma yoga. We don't want problems. That's why we do the Sri Suktam. We do Siddha Kunjika. We do so many other mantras and all that, so that there's no issue here. But those are doorways into Akhanda Bhakti. So there's no obstacle. We don't want obstacle. What is the purpose of the booster rockets and the fuel tank and all that thing? So that the astronaut can go into space. By itself, it's just a support. It is a support for the higher destination. You see, it's like that. Similarly, as we continue these mantras, beautiful mantras, Krishna Bhagwan ke mantra, Namah Shivaya mantra, Mataji ke mantra, jo ye sab mantra hai in Sanatan Dharma. These are all ways of storing energy and activating energy further into that Param Shakti, that Ojas and Tejas and Bhakti, and that extraordinary development from inside. So we can see now the connection between Ojas, Tejas and Bhakti and Shakti. That's the triangle with the Shakti in the middle. When you pull all that together, that is the flute of Shree Krishna. Our ahankar samarpit ho jata hai. So we set the destination, and then our mental vritti, our internal mechanism is aligned inside the scriptural teaching, so we can build the foundation. So we live in the world, but we live in the world with vairagyam, with gnana, with realization that that the Jnana and Vairagya are the two wings of a bird. Who is the bird? We are the bird. The Mumukshu, one who desires liberation, has to fly. The bird cannot fly with one wing. Bird has to fly with two wings. So Jnana and Vairagya are the two wings of the Mumukshu, and they allow the bird to fly. If the wing is damaged, broken, something happens, bird cannot fly. No way. How terrible is that? The Mumukshu means one who seeks liberation, seeks flight in the consciousness of God consciousness, has to have Jnana and Vairagya. Iske siwai we cannot reach that Param Tattva. And Vairagya doesn't mean running away, so Vairagya means beyond Raga and Dvesha. It is an extraordinary internal stable state where one is not pulled by the sense objects or people, places, things. There's no pulling, tugging at all. There's a natural steadiness, that is Vairagya. And in Jnana, there is a clear vision. Jnana is not just information. Jnana is a vision. It is a vision to see the Nitya, Anitya, Vastu, Viveka. What is Nitya? What is real? That which is the original Brahma Tattva, the substratum, the Atma Tattva, Brahma Tattva, Bhagwan ka Dham, Bhagwan ka Swarup, that is Nitya. This Brahmand, the universes, galaxies upon galaxies upon galaxies, and billions of beings coming and going, different bodies coming and going. This is anitya. It is not to be negatively looked at. It is to be looked at for what it is. That is called jnana. That is divya chakshu, jnana chakshu. So when we see this, this is what Vedanta teaches us. Make this viveka. Viveka is the buddhi separates it out. Okay, so we separate it out with vairagya, and that becomes that's a flight. So that allows us to keep our mental vritti inside the connection with God, bhakti. So Jnana and Vairagya allow us to be in a state of unbroken bhakti. And dharma is the right actions to be taken, karma yoga, all the different activity, physical, mental, verbal activity. If it is aligned with action, or it is action performed without harm to others, to yourself, and without getting stuck somewhere else, without causing negative karmic reactions, and even not causing even attachment to positive actions. Positive actions are done, but because of Jnana and Vairagya, the negative and the positive do not affect. So Shubha Shubha Parityagi. Bhagavad Gita says, Shubh or Shubh se uppar nikal jao. That is Brahman. So that is where dharma, we live in dharma. Dharma doesn't mean religious traditions and affiliation. It means right action that aligns us towards Paramatma. That is the meaning of dharma. So dharma, jnana and vairagya, when they come together this way, they produce intense conservation. The energy is conserved, ojas is conserved, life becomes tejasvi, becomes fantastic, and then we're ready. It's like, with that space shuttle has that countdown, right? Everything is ready to go. 1 minute to go, 30 seconds to go, 10 seconds to go. And then there's liftoff. And then everything is ready to go. That liftoff is where all 9 forms of devotion come together. And that break happens. A point comes when that energy, that bhakti increases in such a way where there is the breakage of the bondage of gravity. You see that there's a point that happens when the space shuttle it breaks the gravity. It's no longer stuck to the ground. We have liftoff. That is our goal. That is our goal. We want to lift off out of Maya. Daivi esha gunamayi mama Maya duratya mam evaya prapadyante Maya metam tarantite. Lift off out of the bondages and the clutches of gravity, the clutches of Maya, the 3 gunas of Maya, the ahankar, rag, dvesh, klesh, all those standard deficiencies. Place them aside. Build the extraordinary foundation for this vertical ascent. That is what the Bhagavad Gita chapter 15 is teaching us. That is what the Brahma Sutras, 555 Brahma Sutras are teaching us. Athato Brahma Jignasa. That's the first Brahma Sutra. That is what the Upanishad, 108 Upanishads are teaching us. All of the Guru Paramparas, bona fide Guru Paramparas throughout Sanatana Dharma, they have only one goal, to take off out of the bondages of Maya and reach that Param Tattva. Itni hi baat hai, adbhut baat hai. If we can live this way, understand these things this way, move in this direction, then every moment is Ananda. Every moment is filled with Ananda. Kisko nahi chahiye? But it requires a foundation. It's like the astronaut who eventually goes outside the earth and can see the beauty of the whole planet, Vasudeva Kutumbakam. You don't see these idiotic political boundaries human beings have created. There's no boundary between United States and Canada. And these are all fabricated things human beings have created out of their ego, attachment, agnan, rag, dvesh. None of that is actually real. It's real relatively, and we live in that conflicted madness. Vasudeva Kutumbakam. You can see Vasudeva Kutumbakam go into outer space. Astronauts who have gone into outer space, their whole vision of life changes. That this is a cradle of existence. We are one family. Why don't we realize this? Look at the degradation of the human mind. It is a Maha teaching of the Upanishads. Vasudeva Kutumbakam. We are one family. All beings are connected together. We should not harm each other. It's basic understanding which we don't even have, human beings. But that is still there's hope, because there are great beings, great devotees and all that. That is why this world is sustaining. Chalta hai, sansar is going to go on as it is, and that's fine. But when we evolve, when we see the earth from a distance, from the outer space, we can see its wholeness, its unity, unified existence. We can see its beauty. We can see its fragility. We can see its power. But when we are bound on the ground with rag, dvesh, klesh, wars, this, that is maya, agnan. Now, then when you come back down, out of, from bhakti back into the ground again, that is also bhakti still. Now the whole vision is different. That is where the great sages, after realizing Paramatma, they come back and do their work in the relative world. Vivekananda Swami did that. Ramakrishna Paramahans did that. Aurobindo did that. All the Vaishnava Acharyas have done that. Just throughout this Sanatana Dharma, throughout the world, in fact, those who have enlightened, and then they come back into the world to try to recreate that with a new vision and to serve the world. Sure, so we'll stop here for now. I went and took a lot of extra time here, so thank you for hanging in there. And let's do the closing mantra, and then if anybody has any comments, then we can close. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvada Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundai Vicham Glom Hum Klim Jumsaha Jwalaya Jwalaya Jwala Jwala Prajwala Prajwala Im Rim Klim Chamundai Vichajwala Hum Sam Dam Ksham Phat Swaha Om Am Kam Cham Tam Tam Pam Yam Sham Bim Dum Aim Bim Hum Ksham Dijagram Trote Diptam Kuru Kuru Swaha Shri Radha Krishna Arpanamastu Om Hrim Swaha.